So one of the first things we found that was really interesting was that most of the work was done in the command prompt. So we had to get used to that. We had to get used to that. So with Visual Studio, it was pretty straightforward. You spin up a Visual Studio instance, you click File, New Project, you click the project type that you want, and you're good to go. So for open source development, it was very different. We needed to do something different. So one of the things that we learned very quickly was that obviously, if we're going to be doing mean development, you needed Mongo to be installed. So you go to mongo.com, mongo.org, and you can download and install it. I already have it installed, MongoDB, I already have it installed. So I can test that by just saying Mongo on the command prompt, and if you get a version of Mongo, you know you have Mongo installed, right? I also have Node installed. We probably do a different sessions where we install Mongo and Node.js and all the other stuff. So you can also, if you go to a command prompt and you type Node, you also can see that you have Node installed as well. Now, Node comes with NPM. NPM is a package manager, which is like the Microsoft NuGet package. So it was quite a breeze to learn how to use. So what we're going to do quickly is I'm going to spin up a new project. And the way that you do that is you go to a command prompt. I'm going to make a new project, and I'm going to call it New Project. And in the new project, I'll just go to npm init, and this is how you start up a new application. And it's got some really nice workflow. It's going to ask you some questions regarding what the name of the project is going to be. So I'm going to call it Web API Demo. And then the version. So if you don't want to change the version, obviously you can just strike Enter key, and then I will go to the next thing as well. I'm going to call this the Sample Web API with Express and Node. All right, entry point, I always like to use server.js. So like in the .NET world, you would have main.cs, right? That would be like an entry point into your code. But here, in this case, we want it to be server.js because that's where all our code is going to go. And then I'm going to be the author of this project. And then I'm going to say yes. Right. So we have just spin up a new NPM project. Absolutely. So how do you tell that you now have a new project? Obviously, if you go to the command prompt and you do a dir in that folder, you get a package.json. This was very interesting. I think original ASP.NET development was web.config file. So every configuration, every package dependencies was literally sit in that folder. But in this case, we're using the package.json. It gets generated for you as a result of the npm init. We're also going to be using Visual Studio Code. This is an open source development tool. It's actually free. You can go on the visualstudio.com and then you can download it. And then we're using Visual Studio Code because it's second to home. We've been used to using Visual Studio for quite some time. So, and the way I have installed Visual Studio Code on my machine, if I just say code dot and I press the enter key, it starts up Visual Studio Code in the command prompt, which is great. So. For those of you who would like to always start up your project from the beginning, you can always do that as well. I have ran Visual Studio Code a couple of times for a couple of projects, so you might see some of them come up as well. But this is the project that we got as a result of the npm init. So package.json is a dependency file, and it contains a list of all the packages that you're going to use throughout your project, right?
Also basic information about your project.
Absolutely. So the metadata, the stuff that we supply during the initialization of the project. So what is nice about this is if you need a package to do encryption, you can use npm to install it. For as long as you save it into the package.json file, that it takes care of it. If you need to do ODM, for example, you can download a package to do that. If you need some authentications, you can download a package to do that as well. So, but before we go ahead and start doing this, we can first of all just create the server.js file that we said we were going to use in the beginning. And then the file will be created and we can start doing some development in there. So when we run our web API, we want this file to be where we start up from, right? So the first thing we're going to do is to use Express to spin up a new web server. This was quite interesting, right? I mean, I remember IIS was a huge deal. You had to install it and then create a project and then deploy to it.
Yeah, and also, with the .NET application, you had to